There were two flying wing developments. Just after the end of World War II, they were looking for a heavy bomber for the United States Air Force. Only two prototypes of the XB-35 and a couple of production models were built, of the YB-35 with 4 radial piston engines, and several of these were converted to the YB-49 with jet engines. They were created by the Northrop company, being an engineering achievement for the time. Welcome to a new video from Aeropedia. In 1929, before World War II, Jack Northrop was working with the first ideas of flying wings, such as the flying wings, which was basically a flying wing with 2 thin booms that supported the tail surface. 10 years later, he managed to achieve a pure flying wing design, the Northrop N1M, with 2 Lycoming engines of 65 horsepower. The improved N9M was also developed to test the theory of stability and control of flying wings. The latter was the precursor of what would become bombers with this configuration. In 1941, prior to the United States entering World War II, Northrop and Consolidated Corporation were commissioned to develop a large long-range bomber designated XB-35 and XB-36. Northrop wanted to use the flying wing idea, which had the advantage of reducing parasitic drag, and to eliminate structural weight that was not directly responsible for producing lift. Consolidated proposed a more conventional design with a fuselage and tail which was much larger and heavier. In theory, the B-35 could carry a greater payload faster, farther and cheaper than a conventional bomber. The United States Army Air Force then awarded the contract to both companies to build prototypes. Since the new aircraft required a significant amount of engineering work in untested areas, it had been created. The Northrop 9M. The M stood for model, which means maqueta in English. This aircraft would be used to gather flight test data for the design of the new flying wing. It could also be used as a flight trainer to familiarize pilots with the radical all-wing concept. In early 1942, work began on the design of the XB-35 prototype. The Army Air Force had originally ordered 200 B-35 production models. During development, it began to have many problems and delays, so engineers from the Martin Company were hired and the delivery date for the prototypes was postponed by 1945. Realizing it would likely never be ready in time to participate in the war, the Air Force cancelled the production contract, although the Air Service Command continued the program for research purposes. It flew for the first time on June 25, 1946. It had 4 Pratt & Whitney R4000 360 Wasp major engines, the same ones used by the B-36, but with contra-rotating propellers. The flight tests revealed several problems. The contra-rotating propellers caused strong and constant vibration in the drive shaft and the reduction gearboxes supplied by the government, which frequently broke down and reduced the effectiveness of the propeller control. After only 19 flights, Northrop grounded the first XB-35 and, after a few more months, the second one as well. The contra-rotating propellers were removed and replaced with 4 single-rotation 4-bladed propellers. In addition to having continuous vibration problems with the drive shafts, the new single-rotation propellers greatly reduced the speed and performance of the aircraft. The intricate exhaust system also became a maintenance failure. After just 2 years, the engines already showed signs of material fatigue. In the end, the program was cancelled due to technical difficulties, the obsolescence of its contra-rotating propeller engines being far behind schedule, and also having cost overruns. Another factor that contributed to the failure of the program was Northrop's tendency to end up committing to many experimental programs. Thank you. Thank you. On September 30th, 1943, 3 pre-production units, called YB-35, were ordered by the Air Force. When the first of this series flew for the first time, on May 15, 1948, it was already clear that the design with piston engines had become obsolete given the advances achieved in jet engines. Only the first 435 actually flew, and the tests lasted only a few months. Another 11 YB-35 aircraft that had already been ordered and were on the production line were converted to jet engines and redesignated 449. The first YB-49 flew on October 21, 1947, with 8 Allison J-35A engines, the same engines used by the Republic F-84 Thundershot. The advantages of a jet-powered flying wing were promising. But in June of 1948, there was an accident that resulted in the total destruction of the second YB-49 and the loss of 5 crew members. Even so, the Air Force requested 30 modified B-49s, which was soon cancelled in order to build more Convair B-36s, the competing model, which already had many planes built. The YB-35 program continued for some time with testing on the airframes, but in October of 1949, the entire project was cancelled and the planes were scrapped. The YB-49 was a futuristic aircraft ahead of its time that needed fly-by-wire flight control in order to be controlled. And more powerful engines technologies that were not available at that time, but it resurfaced as the basis for the design of a new strategic bomber project, the B-2 Spirit, which we already have a video about on the channel. I'll leave it in the top right for you to watch later. And it's curious how the B-2 Spirit has exactly the same dimensions as its predecessors, even though it's a much more modern design. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in a new video. I'm Marcos and this is the Aeropedia from Mundo de Aviación.